Welcome back to 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast, a show focused on highlighting the illustrious Prairie View A&M University, the HBCU of Texas, by promoting SWAC and the HBCU experience, featuring your fellow PV Panthers, Roland Austin, Jay Cleasy, Big Mike Washington, three-time SWAC champ Gati Werema, former drum major HBCU band historian Shaunetta Haskell, and Al Williams, driving the show from the Hill. Please subscribe and follow us on social media at 1876 SCP. And don't forget, we do it for the culture.
And welcome to the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. We are joining today with Jay Cleasy, Shaunetta Haskell, Mike Washington, and Roland Austin. Man, it was a rough one yesterday, but before we talk about some football, let's talk about the tailgate.
Yeah,
man,
it was hot.
It was really good. I must say, I really struggled with the number of that baby blue and yellow I saw everywhere. Panthers, I don't know where to place the blame. Do we put it on the police department? Do we put it on ourselves? I think it was enough to go around, but we should have done better.
You just gonna start off negative, ain't you?
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I started actually. I had the self-censored on my mouth earlier because I was not gonna say nothing because they say if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. But we got to do better.
Man, he is absolutely right.
I'm gonna stay positive. I'm still drinking from last night, bro.
Okay, well, no,
man,
but it was good. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I'm a hush.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you are absolutely right, man. I'd like to stay positive, but 3 weeks ago I tried to get a tailgating spot here and it couldn't because the Southern folks had booked it all up. There was only one spot left. Thought I had a spot. Who would have known? So I don't know whether we place the blame on how the system is managed now, i.e. under the police department, or we don't give alumni priority. I don't know what the problem is. I just had a problem pulling up, and the first thing you see when you pull in the tailgate lot is that baby blue with that
Southern flag.
Hey, yes, therein lies the biggest problem I have with this structure. You know, in the past, athletics control game day parking. Right. That is not true anymore. The fact that athletics doesn't control parking anymore, they can't prioritize season ticket holders. They can't prioritize alumni because, that would be in their best interest. UPD could care less. They just want that money. So whoever shows up with the money, and, we kind of new to this whole winning thing, right? So our whole focus is secure your homecoming spot. Yes. We talking homecoming spots, as soon as they roll out for the season in July. Nobody's talking about the other games. So I think this is a learning experience for us, but I really this is going to be the first thing I want to talk to our new AD about. I really need athletics to take over parking for game days. It goes hand in hand with game day experience. And I don't want someone whose only incentive is money to lead that activity. Otherwise, you end up with what we had, which was half of the doggone paved lot was full of SU. They need to be on the grass, bro.
Let's be a little more accurate. About 60 to 65%.
Yeah, but it was a good 70-30 split.
It is a good 70-30. I agree.
Damn.
One thing I will say though, so point of and just to be fair, I think Dr. Cavill always say, hey, integrity in journalism, right? So one of the reasons that fell under parking, I think it was because the previous AD had control over auxiliary services, and it was just a natural flow of controllership, right? But I think we do need that new AD to understand that you have some strong constituents that have to have access to key parking up front and not get it released to the gen pop. That was a huge fail this year. But I will say this, fans, Panthers, I don't know if y'all all received the email or not, but Mark Falls is hosting a segment with the police chief. Reach out to him, send him an email, get involved in the Zoom call. The police chief is going to come on and actually walk everybody through who gets the money, how he came up with this rationale, basically like a police open house. So I encourage everybody I'm gonna be on there because I definitely have my own personal gripes, but this is going to be his opportunity to give everybody an insight into how it all works. So, but we know this ain't working. I don't know.
Hey, but you know what? Let's give love to people who know how to do this right.
Yep.
SU was out there line dancing 4 hours after the game was over.
Yes.
Getting it. They had one of their alumni chapter representatives got on a microphone and announced future upcoming alumni chapter events and solicited fees to be paid and announced what the due date was to pay those alumni chapter dues. I don't want to hear about, well, Southern started this whole SWAC RV culture. No. So, hell, some of our crews started the RV culture at PV. That didn't stop other people from jumping on board and making it what it is today. Who cares? I don't want to hear about, well, we don't want to copy what other people are doing. Why PV can't do stuff they self and make up their own. Well, if that was the case, then we would have never started this show because we got this damn idea from the pregame show. So I don't want to hear none of that foolishness. Let's get it done. Let's be real fans. If you love PV the way I always hear people say they love PV, then your presence and your financial resources should show and support that love that you have for Prairie.
At the end of the day, don't hate the player, hate the game. We got to step up and put in as much effort as Southern puts up. They're one of the number one traveling alumni fan base teams in the SWAC. You can throw the MEAC in for that effort. So, and they've been that way for years. This didn't start in the year our Lord 2022. You go to the Bayou Classic, you go when they play FAMU, that fan base travels. So I say it, but you got to take your hats off to them. They travel, and they travel religiously and with discipline.
I got a feeling we're gonna start seeing another battle taking place here. As we have now kind of morphed from just the battle taking place on the gridiron. Now it takes place in the stands between the bands. Now I think we're gonna have some L's and some W's being taken in the tailgates.
Oh yeah.
Well, yes.
We need a new poll.
Yesterday, yesterday was the first loss.
Oh, we took an L on that one.
We took an L. At least 2 L's for certain.
Yes.
We got to have a tailgate poll. Okay, we need to come up with this criteria. I like this idea.
And not a homecoming tailgate poll.
No.
A regular game.
Yes.
Best tailgate.
So excludes homecoming.
Yes, excluding homecoming. But you know what? Hey, to wrap it back onto a positive note, shout out to those faithful fans that was out there getting it in. I mean, we was out there, about 9 or 10 o'clock that morning, and we saw some purple and gold. So shout out to those folks for getting it done, holding it down for the other 70,000 of us that would not.
and for those of us licking our wounds after the game, this is what's left over. Yeah, that's right. I'm just saying.
Was that white hair? What you got over there, Mike?
Absolutely. That was left over from last night. So when we talk about the game, I might take a swig.
See? All right. Now Roland brought up something interesting about, the police chief having a Zoom call. That is a first. I got a feeling that seat is getting a little bit warm over there because there are a lot of people not happy with the UPD and this whole parking situation. Case in point, I think it might have been Friday, one of the students tweeted out an image of a parking ticket for $1,000. We're talking about a parking ticket. We're not talking about reckless endangerment, 40 miles over in a 20-mile-per-hour zone, nothing like that. A parking ticket. Now, last I checked, you can't use your FAFSA money or a Pell Grant to pay off a parking ticket. So you're going to have babies can't graduate because they got a parking ticket fee? Come on, man.
Yeah. It was in a handicap zone.
It was in a handicap zone.
I don't give a damn. $1,000
Hey,
for a
man.
student because he
Hey,
Just
parked in the
tow
wrong
it.
spot?
you got to pay for those segways running across campus.
I would rather get towed than $1,000 ticket because a tow ain't but 300.
Exactly. You would think, hey, do something. I mean, I don't know.
And let's
Some will say is they over policed. But I mean, we do know that we want to make sure that the kids are safe, and there have been some things that we want to make sure that those kids are in a safe environment. So hey, I'm
Hey, I'm good with safety, but safety is not equal parking.
Exactly.
What happened to the dorms that got broken into over the Christmas break last year? Whatever happened to the custodian that was called in to perform service and was caught on video going through the kids' stuff? We don't hear nothing, nobody, no charges, no nothing, but let you run the stop sign or park in a handicap, here come RoboCop. Nah, bruh, at this point, I'm ready for Dr. Simmons to keep that same energy that she had with Dr. Reed with Chief Jemison. I'm sorry, because you have to understand the cultural framework of working at an HBCU. We send our kids there so they don't get this treatment. But we're going to send them here and everything is punitive? $1,000 parking ticket? No, player, not today. Not on my watch.
No. Well, remember back in the day, your registration used to get held up and it'd be for a parking ticket and you like trying to figure it out. And then you find out it's $50 and you don't have $50. You got to go call grandmama and them. Hey man, I need $50. I need $40. Who would have thought that $50 tickets would turn into $1,000 tickets in the year our Lord 2022? $1,000.
And who I'm calling to get a G like that? Mama.
You ain't calling nobody.
Exactly.
You ain't graduating.
Exactly. Who I got to call now?
Bro, if my kid come home with $1,000 ticket, I'm calling my lawyer. I don't care how much I got to spend just on GP. It ain't going down. I ain't paying no $1,000 ticket for parking. You can completely miss me with that.
And let's talk about just the feeling that I heard a lot of people comment about just the over presence, the imposing presence of the police force. It was a cop everywhere you looked, and it was a cop, a different type of cop vehicle. They got trucks, they got SUVs, they got a special unit.
I saw that white SUV that says special tactical unit on a university campus. Are you kidding me? Hell no, man. Well, that's because they're getting all this money off of parking. If they wouldn't get all the parking money, they wouldn't have a budget for this.
With $1,000 tickets, of course you can have that.
Exactly. I'm like, hold on, man. They got more police cars than the city I live in. And we talk about a campus. And I'm sorry, but when we were in school, the majority of the police department looked like us. And if you go around that campus right now, that is not the case. So there is a cultural framework, and there is something that you just need to understand about our governance structure that we try to form on HBCU that this is just not in alignment with. No.
Right. Agreed.
Yep.
So.
Man, that was a heated locker room talk.
Let me woosah. Oh yeah.
One more. We got one more.
I got one more thing before we go in and talk about this game. Now we talked about that slippery slope about how, when FAMU did the Kumbaya dance thing with University of North Carolina. I don't know if y'all saw this week, but all of a sudden, University of North Carolina is putting out D-Ho shirts. No. Anybody not familiar, North Carolina A&T is known for their homecoming called G-Ho, greatest homecoming on earth. That has been like that for generations. Now all of a sudden, y'all FAMU and go and give them a little bit of taste and think, they came to a cookout. No, baby, that was a barbecue. There's a difference. They came to a barbecue. You ain't invited to the cookout. Y'all let them come and dance with them and play band with them. And now here we come with D-Ho. See, I kind of told you.
Culture vulture strikes again.
Tried to told
exactly.
You.
Culture vulture.
They're not gonna learn, bro. We are the nicest race of people on planet Earth. We accept, we give everything that we have to everybody, and it's out there to be taken. And that's just what it is.
It's unfortunate because I feel like it's stolen and like capitalized off of in a way that we just don't even imagine, right? I mean, it's starting from real estate to music to hip hop culture, and now our HBCU culture. But when we stop giving away the,
I know,
the
right?
bag, man, we keep giving away the bag.
Getting them back between us and the Native Americans. I mean, I'm gonna invite you over here. I'm gonna show you what corn is. I'm gonna show you how to make corn, and then you're gonna take the corn, and then you're gonna start making oil.
Mike went to Columbus Day.
I'm serious.
We went to the 1492 project.
Right.
Oh man. Oh goodness.
All right, back to 1876.
Right.
Yes.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be back to talk some football.
2nd and 5. First to the hole up the middle and breaks free. The 20, the 10.
Touchdown Prairie View. And it is Tristan Wallace.
And welcome back. I want to talk some football, but I got so excited with that last segment. I forgot about, we had a big topic to talk about. Just a minor thing, like our AD got replaced this week.
I mean, we may want to talk about that.
Yeah,
possibly.
Let's talk about that. So we all know that Dr. Donald Reed was asked to resign earlier this week based on some of the information out in the media shared by President Simmons. There are a couple of administrative things that happened that she just felt was unacceptable and asked for him to tender his resignation. And we now have interim AD, Dr. Gardner, who was already leading the athletics committee, which is mandated by the NCAA. So he's familiar with the department, but man, it came quick.
Yeah.
It came real quick.
I'm glad it did. I'm glad we did not waste a lot of time naming a interim. We have struggled with naming replacements for these roles in the past, so I'm glad that was done quickly. I'm glad that it was done with someone with some credibility, who has some inroads with the department already. We had a chance to meet with him on yesterday. He seemed like he's a reasonable guy. He seemed like he understands some of the pain points and some of the pressure points that's existing. And it seemed like the ship is in good hands until we find a solid replacement.
And more importantly, for me, he is a PV grad, came out in 92. He understands the culture and he understands PV. I think that was something that Dr. Reed pretty much struggled with from day one, was understanding HBCU culture. When he came out of University of Buffalo, it was just completely different approach as far as who we are to each other, about interacting with the other ADs, going to SWAC media days. I mean, I can keep going, but he seemed like he struggled and wasn't comfortable in some of those spaces. And I think that also may have been led to what ended up being his demise.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I will.
It's a shame when you have a problem or an issue or whatever, I don't know what the proper word to use, but being comfortable in spaces with your own people. Yeah. And that definitely seemed to be the issue. It may have just been that he's an introvert. Yeah. He is definitely an introvert. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. But one thing I did see from Mr. Gardner was he was out in front of everything. Yesterday, he was driving through the tailgate section, introducing himself.
Suites on the
came
ground.
Through the suites, introduced himself to everybody. So he's getting out in front of PV family because he recognized that PV family wants to hear from leadership of the academic, from the AD department. We want to know who you are. We want to hear words come out of your mouth. We want to know what your direction is from that department.
Somebody pull the slide, Leadership 101. I'm sorry.
So go ahead, Shaunetta. It looks like you want to jump in. I'm sorry.
No. The only thing that I'm going to say is that we need to also make sure that it's not just the AD. So we can change the ADs every 3 years, but if you don't change that staff, what's the definition of insanity?
Oh,
doing the same thing
over and over.
We
expecting different results. Wow.
I will say one thing in addition. Hey, Miss Reed was cool. I know some folks had a problem with her. But she was cool with me, man. Hey, the first home game at the Labor Day Classic, I walk in our suite. We only had 2 chairs. I go to the AD suite. They got a room full of chairs. She heard me over talking and complaining. She helped me steal 2 chairs from her suite and walk them down to our suite. She was complicit in the crowd.
Reallocate 2 chairs from one room to the next.
I really wasn't gonna say this, but I played in the golf tournament for the Athletic Foundation last year, and I played with Dr. Reed. Then I had a chance to meet her later. She was like having drinks and like, oh, you know what's up, you know the deal. That was totally different. I was a totally different conversation than Dr. Reed.
She understood the culture more than
who understands the culture and who doesn't.
So you know what? With that being said, man, when we look at the next AD, is it very? I mean, and I guess this is a poll for all y'all Panthers out there. Is it imperative or important that person be familiar not just with the culture of Prairie View? So, are we looking for a PV alum? Are we looking for an HBCU alum? Yeah. And I think we need to start thinking about that. What are the things that we're actually looking for in someone to grab these reins and shift us on into the next level?
It's a good point. It's a good point because they put a search committee together. Let's go history lesson. They put a search committee that found Dr. Reed. What was the criteria for that search committee? They spent months looking for it. I was like, what's the criteria here?
And that's what y'all came up with.
Yeah, I think for me, I need someone who understands the HBCU framework historically and where we're trying to go. I think it's going to require a different skill set than what they were looking for before. Okay, I think we've got a budget to have a staff for compliance. I don't need my AD to be my compliance person. I need my AD to be forward thinking. I need my AD to be looking to make, NIL deals, supporting the foundation. I need them out front, kind of setting the tone, similar to what our previous AD, Ashley Robinson, has done over in Jackson State. I mean, you talk about forward thinking. If you look at the SWAC, look at all the coaches he hired. He hired Dooley, he hired Simmons, and he hired Prime. I mean, you're talking about the top 3 coaches in the SWAC. So he was forward thinking. Look at the marketing that's taking place at Jackson State, and they don't have the PV budget. I'm just saying.
Our intern just notified us that we're in the football segment and we can talk about football.
Yeah. I think yesterday kind of stunned us,
talk some
man.
football. I didn't really want to talk football. I was hoping
I really didn't.
To this.
I was trying to hold off on the football, but if we really got to,
it's like me in the second half yesterday. Come on, Klopp.
Oh my God!
What they doing themselves? Yeah, yesterday Parents took it on the Southern Panthers and the score was.
That's over. We could make it quick. What you got, Mike? Let's make it quick.
The score was lopsided in the second half. We didn't score now point. I didn't say now, not any now point in the second half. So we definitely took a L on the field besides in the tailgate. I think by the third quarter, I think I was drinking in the suite anyway. But if you look at a comparison, we got exposed. I mean, I was trying to think of elevator speech to characterize the game. We got exposed in front of the SWAC, a nationally televised game. We look at our yards per pass, 5.7 yards per pass. We couldn't complete a pass on average greater than 5 yards. That was exposed. We got exposed that all we could do was run. The second leading quarterback runner in the SWAC is our quarterback. Exposed. 3 data points. So we, at the end of the day, we really have to become, I guess, Alcorn fans, because like it or love it, we still got a chance because Alcorn plays Southern. We got to match up with Alcorn play. If Alcorn manages to pull something out with Southern, who may lose some players because there's a little melee that happened between the game, this makes for an interesting scenario. The question is, what changes can we make on the field and then strategically to be a better team? I don't know what's out there, but we got tremendously exposed. All the defense had to do was sit back. Oh, they're going to try that 5-yard hit. Oh, they're going to try that 5-yard out. Oh, they're gonna try the 7-yard in. They ain't trying nothing over 7 yards. So it was just embarrassing, to be honest, to be as a Panther fan to sit back and watch that performance.
It was triggering, I will say the least. I felt like 90s had resurfaced again. But I did hear that there was a lady out in the tailgate area with a pot and a doll with some pins stuck in it. I don't know. I heard some. Hey man, they from Louisiana, but
you ain't gonna do my people like that.
None of it made sense yesterday. I was ready for maybe a 30-32 loss. That score made no sense. So the only thing I can say is, man, please leave Miss Rudolph at home next time.
Hey, I'm gonna preface my comments by saying, we know the coaches know more than what we know about, the required game plan according to their personnel and opponent. So, this is purely a fan's perspective of looking on the outside, from the outside looking in. But it was one stat that kind of stuck out to me. Third down conversion.
Yes.
Southern was 7 for 11. We were 4 for 13. And it goes back to the passing game. If you know that we are struggling with our quarterback receiver connection, then I'm gonna just stack the box and dare you to complete the pass. And they didn't really even stack the box. Their front four was getting as much pressure as they wanted, and our tackles were just having difficulty handling that pass rush, man. And so you had times where Connolly didn't have time, and then you had times where just the quarterback receiver connection just is not there. And so this is where they gotta come up with that Mamba mentality. They need to spend extra time practicing after practice, running pass routes and throwing passes, because we got to get that. That's going to be the difference between us going to Jackson for the SWAC championship or staying at the house.
That defense fooled a lot of people, because you look at how we shut down TSU, which, oh, by the way, blanked same Southern team. You look at how this defense showed up yesterday. Those third down conversions, their scores were on third down. 3 of their scores were on third down conversion. We couldn't get off the field. I don't know what happened yesterday. I don't know if there's something in the water, but our defense just couldn't stop them on third down, and we couldn't get off the field on key possessions.
Yeah, I think one thing that I noticed, it seemed like even from the start of the game, our defense kind of just lost their composure. There was a lot of chit chat going back and forth, and you could see the coach had to pull a couple of guys out because the ref was saying, you better talk to him or I'm going to toss him. So I think some of that pregame melee kind of spilled over into the game where we weren't focused on the right things. Also, my wife is not a football fan or statistician or pay attention that closely unless her babies are playing. So she said it seemed like Southern knew everything we were going to run before we ran it.
Yep.
So, I mean, we are running the same playbook as last year.
I felt like it was Bobby Boucher all over again.
Yeah. You know what? That boy said Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher.
Another part, I guess, one part that we overlooked was, one, there were too many 3 and outs.
Yep.
Okay, so which relates to what you just said, Al. It was the 3 and outs were caused because I think there was familiarity with the playbook. But I think the assumption that we had that the death row would be able to hold up against any SWAC offense, I think was disrespectful to SWAC offenses. If you have too many repetitive 3 and outs against anybody, your defense is going to wear down. And that front 7, that front 4, even though they have a good rotation going, they just got worn down because it was too many 3 and outs. And so, respect to Southern's defense, respect to SWAC defenses in general, because I don't care how good you are, how deep you are. If your defense is on the field all day, you're in trouble. And that's what happened.
Yep.
There it is. All right, with that, let's take a break and we'll be right back to talk band. And we are back. Let's talk some band, Shaunetta.
Nah. Yeah.
Woosah.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second before you talk band.
I'm so
Hold up.
glad I went to PPU.
Are you whispering because that's our quiet
I'm so glad.
fans are?
Tears in the eyes.
That Shaunetta talk.
So you know what? I'm gonna start with the highlights. There are some highlights there. And one thing I did like, maybe it was a flashback to the 90s, but the drum majors walked onto the field like we used to march onto the, not march, how we used to walk onto the field, that slow walk, right? That slow walk should mean I'm about to tear this up, but
Yes.
Supposed to.
It was a dramatic build-up.
So the Storm did their show from last week. They took out the drum feature, they shortened the drum majors come out, but for the most part, it was the same halftime show. Southern's halftime show, remember last week, they passed the white uniform test. They did a Southern show, right? The show itself was just okay, but it's how they ended the show. It's how they got their fans engaged. As soon as they play that "Do What You Wanna," the dancing dolls get those umbrellas out, the little jig they do toward coming off the little dance. It's classic Southern, and their fans love it. So they just understood the assignment better than we did. And so what I don't want to do is I don't want to just go in on the Storm. So I thought about how am I going to approach this? So how I'm going to approach it is just what I wish I had seen, right? What I wish I had seen is when because our band was there, right? They were already there. And so when Southern is marching into the field, marching into the stadium, blow at them. Go ahead and set that tone, right? This is about to be a war. I didn't see that. Even when Southern was warming up, playing their scales, I wouldn't even let you do that, right? I would just play over that.
Usually so nice.
Halftime show. The halftime show, I wish we could pass the white uniform test, right? In the stands. And there's been a lot of talk on social media about band rules. And so you have a lot of people coming to the defense of the Marching Storm and saying, well, that there are these band rules where they can't play. Well, clearly Southern isn't abiding by those rules, okay? So if we're going to be that band that abides by those rules, why not come up with some 10 to 24-second fanfares to get the crowd going, right? Because the SWAC rule doesn't say that your fans can't chant. So go ahead and play some type of fanfare to get the crowd chanting, right? Now, that does require a fan base that will participate, right? Because I don't want to put this all on the band, but at least help us and get us started, okay? Another highlight I would definitely say was the fifth quarter. I'm calling it fifth quarter after dark. They turned the lights out and they kept going. I hate to do this. Y'all know what I'm about to say. I got to give fifth quarter to Southern. The music is just more. It's powerful. It's full. I actually watched it again today, and I was like,
it's grown folks music.
They played Got My Whiskey, Got My Money, and I was
done. Exactly. Got My Whiskey. Hey, there were PV fans standing up to that song.
Yes.
I
was one of them.
Yeah.
We were like drumline, like, come on, Dr. Lee.
Dr. Lee, what you gonna do?
The bumblebee.
It does. It hurts my heart, but I don't want to bash on the Storm, but I do hope that if they are looking at some of the critique and some of the complaints, right, that they would go back and just not say, y'all just hating. What I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, when it comes to my band, when it comes to PV's band, it reminds me of a concert, right? It reminds me if I went to the Erykah Badu concert and all she wants to sing is songs from Window Seat. Because Window Seat is not what made us love you. right? We want to hear on and
Oh,
on. We want
yes.
to hear Tyrone. We want to hear those songs.
Man.
So I really want the Storm to dig back, go through the crates, get the VCR tapes out, and look and see what worked. Okay, go back to what you're doing now. What is working? Keep doing it and polishing it so that you can, in the near future, pass the white uniform test. They sound good. I'll give them that. I will never not say they don't sound good, right? But it's also more than just that, right? And we have to, I sit there a lot of times and I'm like, who are we doing the show for? Are you here for the fans? Or are you just here to wait for halftime and fifth quarter? And if that's the case, can we get a pep band? Can we get another something out here that's going to play
While a high school band.
Yeah.
for the fans? Right.
I know what they saying.
Yeah.
They said it's like the old school. Remember when the DJs, you got to tip the DJ to play the song you wanted him to play? Y'all got to start breaking the storm off some money.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, put that cup out there then. Put that cup out.
You really kind of felt the audience stand up after Southern did their thing, and then our drum majors come on like they about to set it off. You felt the anticipation. It's almost like that joke Chris Rock said, "Taggle T, taggle T, higgle." No, that ain't T. No, higgle T, higgle. No, that ain't T. And T never came. So it's like, it was kind of a disappointment. I don't want to, like you said, bash it, but that wasn't the Storm I was so used to seeing back in the day. The other wish, whoever is on the microphone, please shut the DJ down when both bands are trying to play.
Shut the hell up.
How about this? How about we don't need a DJ at an HBCU game when you have two bands? How about that? How about we just don't need a DJ?
Amen.
Yes.
I'm with it.
You know what? I think you need the DJ, but I think everybody needs to have a script. Everybody needs to. No, even in the between, right? You still need a script. They need to know what's going to happen, when this is going to happen, what the time. If you had a script and that DJ was actually part of the quote show, I think it would go over very well.
I think it could work too.
It maintains
but don't
the
play while the
atmosphere.
band is playing.
No,
and that's
exactly.
fine. When the bands are one time where I'll say yes, have one is when they're preparing for halftime show, right? Because it always it stings when they make a touchdown and there's nothing we can do because our band is on the field getting ready. But that's annoying, right? I'm tired of that. But again, I don't know. I hope, because some of the things that we're saying about the Storm, we've been saying. And it just feels as though they're not listening. They don't want to. So again,
I'm with you with a pep band, because there are certain standards that each team is used to hearing, from the stands. Southern has theirs. I mean, with that "Let's Go Jags," I've been hearing that since I was 13 years old.
I was sitting next to, matter of fact, I was sitting to one of my sorors, and that's what she said. Her parents graduated from Southern. So she's like, they've been doing it since I was 8. So again, it goes back to tradition, right? There are certain things, and here's the thing: Southern is Southern. Southern marches 8 to 5. They've been marching 8 to 5, regardless of who the band director is. Southern has one drum major. I don't care who the band director's been. They have one drum major, right? Those little plumes, that little action that they do, going up on every 5 yards, that's Southern. They do that regardless of who the band director is, because that is Southern. That is what they do. The dancing dolls, I don't care who the coordinator is, the director is, they're going to come out and look, I'm going to call them umbrellas. I know, what is it, parasol, stuff like that. That's what they do. And so it's not, I don't know, it's very frustrating, but again,
I'm gonna hurt the feelings of Texans, and I apologize, but let's keep it real. I'm a New Orleans boy. I'm born and raised. I moved to Texas for high school. Culture in Louisiana for Black folks, particularly Southern Louisiana, we have a culture. Black folks in Texas ain't got no culture. I'm sorry. And that culture in New Orleans, that culture in Southern Louisiana extends to the universities. It extends to Southern, extends to Grambling, and some extent it extends to Xavier as well. Texans, Houstonians, Dallasonians, whatever y'all call, the culture is not there. So when you tie that culture, it's not a fair comparison to compare Prairie View against the Southern University. It's just not. And with the band, with the fan following, because there is a cultural connection, a true cultural connection for folks in New Orleans, folks in Louisiana, even if you didn't go to Southern or Grambling. It's a bunch of fans that didn't go to Southern and Grambling, but follow those two teams. How many people in the city of Houston or Dallas that follow Prairie View who are not alumni of Prairie View?
Yeah,
okay, and that's fair. That's fair.
That's
So
fair.
that's where it goes back to the band and the fans, because I graduated from Carter High School, right? We as the band, we looked at the football team. So when we needed our defense, there was a chant that a fanfare that the band would play where the fans would get engaged. Okay. There were times when there was a passing. So again, that's where that band fan collab goes together. Something that I saw, and I want to end here, something that I did see that is positive was there's a chat going on on Facebook, and the cheerleader coach came on and said, what can I do? What can I do to help the fans get out of the seat? Okay. And people start either giving ideas or saying, hey, give me a call. But part of it is we have to, I hear what you're saying, Joe, and that's true. Great. Whatever. I'm from Dallas. Don't tell me I have culture. Hell, I got culture. So, but.
Sorry.
She said, I got culture. How about you?
Exactly. But my point is, just because we're not doing those things, this doesn't mean with a concerted effort that we can't. Okay. I'm still.
No. If I could piggyback off of that, I know we got to end real quick. But we cannot place that all on the band.
We cannot.
Right.
I have seen with my own eyes. I've sat there, I've watched our team score, and I've seen our fans sit there and say, "Oh, that's nice."
That's
Pretend
nice.
it's clap. Pretend it's clap.
So we got. I mean, maybe
Y'all making too much money.
Yeah, some is not.
The beer is too expensive. We got to bring down the price of beer in the stadium, and
So-
I'm telling you, it'll change.
Go with some make lights.
No, you got to take shots. It's a 3-shot minimum to get into Panther Stadium.
There it is.
Yeah.
So point blank, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm to say that. But what I'm saying is,
Shaunetta said you got to take shots to get into
not
Panther
at all.
Stadium.
Not at all. I can get drunk without having a drink. My thing is, though, I do not, and thank you, Roland, for saying that, because so many people want to say the band.
The band, yeah.
It's not just the band. It is everyone involved. The band.
It's the U in PVU. That
You.
There you go. I'm done. Drop the mic. I'm done.
All right. And with that, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with I'm So Glad. And welcome back. We got a special guest with us today. We got Big Sarg with us, Brian Barefield. He's a 2001 grad. He's CEO of Big Sarg Sports, LLC. He's a journalist with USA Today, Rockets Wire, and Texas Wire. Big Sarg, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Thanks for having me. Listen, I'm finally glad that I'm able to be here. And, at some point, I thought that Joe Clay was going to take me back to my pledging days, because this is a long time coming. And I will say this: there's been some miscommunications going on, and a lot of it's on my end with as far as my scheduling is concerned. I am, thank the Lord, that I have a wife who is punctual. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I was sitting just now, I was sitting and watching TV and doing articles, this, that, and that. She's like, "Hey, don't you got a podcast you got to be on?" I was like, "Oh, so that a lot of it has been on me." But I thank you all for having me. I've been wanting to come on here for a long time. I'm a big fan, so I'm glad you all have me.
Well, bro, I appreciate that testimony, because I'm glad it ain't just me. My wife had to hit me at 4:30, like, aren't y'all doing the show today? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm throwing up the Baptist finger too. Yeah, mine too.
Listen, y'all all get a reprieve. It was a little shell shocking going on last night, so we probably started a little twitch or something.
Don't let him off like that. I've been trying to get this boy on the show for I don't know how long, but his busy schedule, because he supports the Rockets and the Texans nationwide and whatnot. So
Astros too.
the Astros
He
too.
said,
So he has more important obligations.
But do you know what I do once a week? I make a drive from downtown Houston to the illustrious campus of Prairie View A&M University, so I can make sure that I give my college some type of coverage, some type of. I ain't too big to go home, so I go home.
Beautiful.
And even if I don't get a chance to write an article about them, I will put something out on social media and the swag talk pages, HBCU, PV alumni, my page. I make sure that I give back to my home, because the one thing that I've had a conversation with some of the people who cover HBCUs is that I tell them all the time, it's like, listen, and this is gonna sound horrible, especially coming off of what happened yesterday, but Jackson State ain't the only school in the SWAC.
Oh yeah.
All right, message. I don't want this to come out the wrong way, because I don't want no smoke with Coach Prime tomorrow on the conference call. But it takes a nation to give back to the entire HBCU culture, not just one school or one coach. And so, I don't mind coming down back to my roots, coming back to Prairie View and making sure that I give some type of coverage to, Coach McDowell and the rest of those players. And I really, it's exciting to me because the players recognize me when they see me coming. They know that I'm there for a reason, to make sure I can put their names out there and get video of them and put them out there. So, thank you all for having me. And what you all do is very, very vital and important to what I have going on when it comes to giving back to the yard.
So Brian, you threw it out there, so I'm gonna throw this question to you. We know that Coach Robertson said this last night, but is Coach Prime swag?
He ain't got no slack hours. He ain't got no slack hours.
Ain't got no swacking.
That's basically what he said.
Listen, he doesn't have any swag hours, but he is the swag. And I will say the reason why I'll say he's the swag, because in all honesty, Coach Prime could have went to somewhere else. Coach Prime could have went to to a D2. Coach Prime could have got on a Power 5 coaching staff and worked his way up.
But not as a head coach.
No, not as a head coach. But I'm saying that he could have got in and became at least second in charge, especially him being who he is. And so for him to come to Jackson State, and not only come to Jackson State and coach the football team, but he has immersed himself into the culture as far as the state of Mississippi, the city of Jackson, and the SWAC overall. And so, because he doesn't just look out for the football team. He want to know why the soccer field ain't working right. I mean, it doesn't look right, excuse me. He want to know what the volleyball team is doing, why the track team ain't got enough money to travel. What's up with the bowling team? And so not only does he start off with Jackson State, but then he spreads that out in the conversations that he has with, the bigger platforms. He always speaks about the SWAC. And for him to be a Hall of Famer like he is, for him to be, primetime Deion Sanders, he did not have to lend his voice, because without his voice, there is not a lot of coverage still for HBCUs. There's not a lot of coverage for the SWAC. So he has opened up the door for the SWAC to be able to be in these rooms that they may not have had an opportunity to be in without him.
I will definitely agree with about 85-90% of that comment. I think the last 2 years has been a phenomenal shift for all HBCUs. Shout out to Dr. McClellan, who's leading the SWAC right now. Yeah. I think he's done some phenomenal things in terms of setting the platforms for Deion to actually kind of continue that elevation that he's done for Jackson State and other schools. But it was kind of like the perfect storm, right? Yeah. You saw all the things that was going on culturally that was shifting better students and better players to Black schools. You saw what was happening during the pandemic. All of that just kind of culminated the absolute perfect brewing for what we see right now. So I definitely not, denouncing or minimizing the quote prime effect, but I think he was just a critical piece to that entire puzzle that's just shaping up to be just a beautiful palette of what we're seeing today. And I think we just got to continue to just capitalize on it. We got to capitalize on it because this is our moment to shine. This is what they say, your 5 minutes of glory. This is our 5 minutes of glory. You got to make it happen.
But do you think that he pushed that? Do you think that he pushed that forward? Because I want to use, let's just use golf for an example. Yeah. I mean, golf, they had very good golf players and they had a very good system in place, but Tiger shows up and now Tiger moves the needle. Yep. Tiger pushes the agenda and everything that comes along with that. Though the golfers weren't getting paid like that before Tiger showed up. And now these appearance fees that they're getting. So with that being said, that's how I feel like it is with Coach Prime and the SWAC. Like, yes, Dr. McClellan, I mean, we know him from when he was there at Prairie View over in the And so, when I used to joke on him all the time about pledging the wrong fraternity. So, but he has put the SWAC in position, but he definitely needed Coach Prime to come in to push it forward. And all he has to do is get Dr. McClellan into the rooms. He gonna talk. He got a mouthpiece. Yep. So now he's opened up that avenue. He's opened up that avenue to be able to say, "Hey, Coach Prime is in the SWAC. Here's Dr. McClellan. When I transition on, because Coach Prime is gonna transition on, soon. And once he transitions on, now that the relationships that he's established for Dr. McClellan will be able to carry us on as far as HBCUs and the SWACs are concerned."
Indeed. Let's time out there just real quick. I'm all about giving people credit, but hold up now, bruh. Dr. Charles McClellan got in those rooms before Prime. Dr. Charles McClellan has done a hell of a job bringing the SWAC to where it is himself before Prime. Prime ain't getting Charles McClellan into these offices. Charles is getting himself into these offices, into these meetings and these conversations and discussions.
Well, I don't know. I have to agree with Sarge a little bit on this one. Prime has been that tide that has lifted all boats. So, like you said, with Tiger Woods, I didn't watch golf before Tiger was playing. I haven't watched it since he has been playing. Now that Serena is no longer playing tennis, I probably would not watch tennis again unless Coco. My girl Osaka is winning. So Prime has kind of had that effect on SWAC football, and part of it occurred because of that spring season. We were the only football on TV in the spring of 21. So,
well, let's talk about data points. Mike, let me know if we've seen any data points that have stated or showed or indicated that the Prime effect has impacted other SWAC schools. Are people chiming in and checking in to watch other SWAC schools play, or are they just watching Jackson State play?
I think we did some research. There is a Prime effect, but you have to look at Eddie George at Tennessee State. Tennessee State's not good, but Tennessee State was kind of a kickoff of what Prime did. They bought him in. They were like, well, we can't wait to see Tennessee State against Prime. You look at, Bubba McDowell. You look at other coaches now that have become bought in, and they're looking at what Prime has done.
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson. So there's some research that we've seen that you've seen an uptick in the market just because of what Coach Prime has done to raise the elevation of others. Having said that, you also have to look at fertile ground, the socioeconomic culture of what's taking place. Mackenzie Scott giving money to several HBCUs, socioeconomic conditions that are happening. The ground has been fertile for that to happen. So this goes also back to Roland's point. You had the right X factor and Coach Prime with the right fertile ground, the right conditions happening, and all of this churning at the same time. It's tough to say statistically how much Prime had an effect, but he did have an effect. The other thing is conference churning, FAMU and Bethune joining the SWAC. That was all Charles. That was years in the making. And it just so happens that now throw in Prime and the Prime factor, you've kind of exponentially increased your market, your value, everything. So I think it's a combination of all things happening at the same time.
Hey, you know what? The damn Prime. Listen, we done gave him too much time. I want to ask Brian, how in the world did you grow your brand and get to a position to where you're now representing, you're now covering all the major sports franchises in the city of Houston?
Well, it wasn't easy. And, I keep referencing, the fraternity, Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And, I'm the Fall 98 line of Ada Gamma out of Prairie Views.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, what fraternity was that? I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I didn't catch that.
The Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
So that one. Okay.
That one.
This one.
Okay.
And so,
put some respect on that. Hey.
And the reason why I keep referencing that is because it laid the groundwork and the foundation for me to learn hard work and values. I had that, but I'm going to be honest with you. When I came to Prairie View, I was already a grown man. I was 26 years old when I came to Prairie View. And so, but I was a 26-year-old immature man. And so when I got around some very positive brothers, because I grew up in a single parent home, I didn't really have a lot of positive male role figures around. But when I got around a lot of positive brothers, that helped me to realize, helped me to unlock my potential. And so I put that in the hard work. So after I left there, moved to Atlanta to help my stepfather take care of my mom, rest in peace. I joined the military, and so it's so funny that I didn't realize how much the frat and the military go hand in hand with each other. So when I'm in boot camp, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before. I'd have been a part of this. So
hazing is hazing. It's all the same.
Hey, wait a minute, hold on. What, y'all can't do such and such to me, right? Oh, this easy. What? I block that out and keep it going. And so with that being said, you sound
like me. I was like, hey man, they can't touch you.
Hold on. Oh, what? We don't have to go in the grass, do we? Oh, I'm good. So but that helped me to realize, what I could do. So when I first got into this market, I was holding the camera. I'll never forget the first game that I ever attended was when Patrick Mahomes was still at Texas Tech and they played Baylor and in Jerry's World, at Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. And so, I started off holding the camera, and then, I started off doing a little bit talking here. I was in a studio with like 7 or 8 guys trying to double dutch to get onto the mic. And that went from there to hosting, that moved forward to hosting 3 shows, and also with the opportunity of becoming, because I'm the sports editor of Houston Style Magazine too, because like I said, I give back to my people, and Houston Style Magazine is predominantly for African Americans and minorities. So I make sure that I continue to write for them as well. And so that's how I got into to writing and doing articles. So that combined with what I was doing on the media side as far as radio and things like that was concerned, got me to where I'm at right now, because, I never let, my whole thing is I'm never going to let you outwork me. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with, I'm going to drop his name, Mark Berman from Fox 26. Mark has been at Fox 26 forever. Yesterday, Mark's cameraman looked at me and said, hey man, look like you've been up since 3:00 in the morning. I said, actually I have. He said, doing what? I said, working. And then Mark said, what you doing up that early? I said, because if I'm asleep, you up working, and I'm not finna let you outwork me. And Mark is a hard worker. So that's how I ended up being where I'm at now, because I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to put in the sacrifice. I'm willing to do everything that needs to be done so I can lay the foundation, because I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the young men and women coming behind me that's going to need somebody to open up the door for them. That's going to need somebody to lay the foundation and the groundwork for them. So now when they come through, now I want to be Coach Brian. When they say, oh yeah, Big Sarg? You're like, Big Sarg? Like, yeah. Hey, call him. Oh, what's up? Yeah, they good. He good. She good. Or to have that platform to where, come on over here, because there's not a lot of opportunities for African Americans, minorities, and women in this media market, unless they're trying to use you in a bad light. And what I mean by that is, if we had another Black Lives Matter movement coming up, you'll see a bunch of African-American, media personalities on television. Or if something happened as far as something with women, the women movement, then you'll see all these women on television. No, it should be like that because there's a lot of talented people out there. And I'm sorry I didn't mean to get long-winded on you all, but I'm passionate about this because I keep building this brand because I know it's not for me. Most of you all know my story about my late wife who passed away in 2017. Jamila Barefield passed away from colon cancer. And as she was going through that, a mother of 4, a grandmother to 2 at the time, we have 5 now. Before she turned 40 years old, she's been diagnosed with death, diagnosed with, there's nothing we can do for you. You're going to die eventually. And every day she would say, I'm not going through this for me. I'm going through this for somebody. My story is going to help somebody, 1, 2 people along the way. And so that's the mindset that I have every morning when I wake up. And I was like, look, I'm doing this not for me. Because I'm a 100% disabled veteran. I get a pension every month. I could sit and I could binge watch all the seasons of The Wire. Like for a month.
You ain't hurt. Ain't nothing wrong with you.
If I wanted to, and I'm gonna still get paid. So that's why I get out here and work hard though.
You know what, BB, we really do. I personally can appreciate that passion that you have. 1876 Sports and Culture is one that kind of mimics that, especially with the relationship we have with the communications department at Prairie View. That's one of the reasons we actually pull interns from the university to actually help with the show. We give them that exposure, aligning them with folks like yourself so that they can get, that exposure and that experience past the flagpoles as well. So, man, we applaud you. We're glad that you are where you are, still repping your home, Prairie Views, still reaching your frat A5 to the big old 5.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
And man, listen, we look to keep on growing each other, holding each other accountable, and look forward to seeing each other in some bigger and better and more elaborate spaces in the very near future.
Absolutely. You're talking about homecoming, right? In a couple of weeks.
Man, we talking.
You said big elaborate spaces. That's the only thing I have on my mind. Homecoming.
We right there with you, bro.
That's code for homecoming.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the We Ready shout-outs. Appreciate you, bro.
All right. Thank you now for having me.
And we are back with the We Ready shout-outs. Mike, who you got?
Man, I'm going to give some love to the Lady Panthers who captured or finished as the top 3 runners and took the top 3 places, winning the team title with a total of 23 points during the Clifton Gilliard Cross Country Invite held this past Thursday morning on the campus of Prairie View A&M. So they got some names thrown in there. Naomi Davis, Shelby Devereaux, Jordan Garnett also finished very strong. They'll be back to action and will take place at at a meet in College Station, Texas, for the Texas A&M Invite on October 15th. Congratulations, they were ready.
They ready.
They ready.
All right, Joe, who you got?
Man, I want to give a shout out to our ancestors who created the swag. Because what we witnessed on campus yesterday was just a manifestation of what was created many, many years ago. That emotional component, that emotional connection to the swag, to celebrating our culture, which is the swag. And it's the reason why I will very rarely put money on any rivalry game in the swag, because once emotions get involved, you don't know what the outcome will be on the field. You don't know how the emotions is going to impact the play on the field. So I want to give a shout out to the ancestors who decided, you know what, we're going to do our own thing in our own conference with our own people, and we're going to celebrate every Saturday.
I like that.
Ready.
102 years and counting.
Yeah, man. With that,
1920.
Yeah, you got me and my woman king man, and she done take the sword. Yeah. I'm saying, to the ancestors.
I didn't have that on my bingo card.
I didn't know where you was going with that, Mike, but okay.
To the ancestors, man. I like that.
All right, Shaunetta. Let's see if we can get this like we did yesterday.
All right. PV.
You
know.
know.
Hey, that wasn't
He
bad.
did it quick. We was supposed to go quick.
Yeah, see, I'm waiting on y'all because y'all always say I go too quick.
We can say one thing. We proved that on our pregame show in the suite, we proved that we could do it in person. It was a much different outcome.
There it is. And we out. All right.
All right.